first off, I want to say good morning to you. And it's
Yeah.
funny enough, speaking of faith, one thing that stood out to me
Mm.
is faith is such, I feel like, an integral part to the story with Lucky and his son.
Yeah.
Um, was that always going to be a part of this beautiful tale of a father and son's odyssey, just trying to get to a baseball game? Because those scenes to me, especially to my wife, meant a lot.
Mm. Yeah, no. For me, the approach with faith was we are getting a window into their lives.
Mm,
And through that window into their lives, we get an understanding of what are their routines, what are their daily habits, what is something that binds them together as a family. And faith is a key element of that. If you're just trying
mm,
to understand the lives of Lucky, Mason, and Tammy. And so praying before they eat, praying before they go to bed, praying when they're outside, that's a key theme in their lives and in the film. And I just wanted to honor that of like,
mm,
hey, this is a part of their day-to-day rituals, right? We are we're guests inside their home, right? They're not performing for us. We are going into them. And so faith is a huge part of that. And I think with even the idea of faith, it's just not shown in a way of I need God's help, but it's shown in the way of this is what we do as a family. It's shown
mm.
in the theme of togetherness, connection. And that's kind of how I wanted to be portrayed in the film.
Were you born in Atlanta? It seems like this is an especially personal space for
Mm,
you, and the cinematography, by the way, is just so intentional of
thank you.
being like I said, a love letter to this community. So that
Mm.
togetherness, was that always like going to be the location to just show this place?
Yes, so to give you some context, I did a short film version of Color Book before I did the feature, and the short film was called Us, and that short film was shot in Los Angeles.
Oh wow.
Um, and so, but when I was deciding to go ahead and do the feature, I wanted to shoot it in a place that I called home. LA, I lived in LA for 8 years. It's a space I'm familiar with. I have community there, but I wanted to kind of go back to my roots and really tell a story that was based in my city that I understand. I know the lingo from the personalities to, just the transportation system. I used to ride MARTA, starting when I was 4 years old. And so I was just comfortable in that space and I wanted to honor it as well. So it was something from, after I did the short that I knew that I wanted to make and do in that specific city.
This story is kind of like on paper. It's very
Yeah.
simple. It's
Yeah.
like the even the synopsis, it's just about a dad trying to get his son to a game. And that's honestly what inspired me when I was looking through the list of movies of what to watch during SIFF. I just saw simply the image of both of them, the
Mm.
concept. I'm like, I don't know why, but this seems like it'll be a treat. And it was. And with that, just the simplicity of it, because when people say simplicity, they think that's like maybe a bad thing. I think it's a powerful thing because with that concept, there's more than just what's on the surface. There's layers of what's happening with Lucky in
Yes.
each arc that goes by, and especially by the time you get to the ending with the fridge. Um,
Yes.
Tears every time, twice now, every time. With that, did you always want to kind of just bring a simplicity, and what kind of attracts you to a story like this to just have something that on the surface?
I'm really big with simplistic narratives. Uh, the reason why is that life is oftentimes simple, but has
Mhm.
emotional complexities.
Yeah.
Um, and so with a simple story, we all can identify with it. We all understand, man, I'm just trying to get a car for today. I'm just trying to go to the DMV. I'm just trying to pick up medicine for my mom. I'm just trying to take my son to school. And through that simplistic, narrative, there's a lot of emotional layers. Oh man, I gotta go get medicine for my mom because she's suffering with the sickness. Oh man, me and my mom, we had these memories. Oh man, these things are happening. And now through just you going to get some medicine for your parent, you experience a layers of emotion and experiences. And I think by creating simplistic narratives and storylines, we all can identify with it of just doing, hey, one simple task.
Mhm.
You look at your day today. Your simple task was just to go to work at church. Like, but then think about all the small things that's happening in between then. You might have like a situation where it's like, yo, somebody almost ran you off the road, right? Oh man, you're trying to get to work on time because you're dealing with so many different things. And that's what I like about simplicity is that we could all find ourselves into it. And then from there on, we could build on the emotional layers. And there's a filmmaker who I love so much and so dearly. His name is Abbas Kiarostami. And a lot of his films are very, linear and simple, but they have so much emotional layers. It's oftentimes with just a character just trying to do one goal. But within that one goal, there's so many things that they deal with emotionally that give so much context to their journey. And that's the same approach I try to have with Color Book and all the stories that I try to write in the future.
What got you to doing it just in black and white? I think the color version of this film would be poppin'. It would be visually stunning, but I much preferred. I know that I would still prefer the original intention, but what
Mm.
was the intention for this specific creative choice? Because I thought it was astonishing.
No, thank you so much. The original intention with shooting Color Book in black and white really stems from the idea of I just want you to connect with two characters, to two souls, to two human beings. And black and white helps eliminate any distraction within the frame and centers your focus on their relationships and their intimate connection. And I think that's so important when understanding that this is a journey film between two people. And if I just want to be locked into these two individuals, black and white just helps me connect to them even more. Um, my my child actor's dad, he came up with another theory of black and white. And and to me, I love it too. So I love it so much that I'm gonna steal it. Um, he also said, with black and white, when you lose someone that's near and dear to you, it takes the color out of your life. And to me, it's like, wow, like I never saw it from that perspective. Like when Lucky and Mason lost Tammy, all the color went out. And
Mhm.
now you even see it in the film, it's quiet in the house. There's no more
I see
light.
why you took that. I see why you took that idea. That's powerful right there.
And so I told him from now on, for Q&As in the future, I'm using that analogy.
Mm,
Going
nice.
through it. But it lends to both. It lends to both. It allows you to focus on characters, but on an emotional level, once you strip someone that you care about out your life, a lot of that color follows along with them.
Your cinematographer, fantastic. I didn't realize, I did a little bit of research, but he did one of, speaking of Netflix, uh, Dark, uh,
Yeah,
one of the most, God, people need to watch that. I know people obviously have watched it, but it needs to be like on Andor levels. People
yeah.
need to watch that incredible series. How did you guys get connected? And was he always like attached to this? Just incredible stuff that he's done. And with this.
Yeah, so funny story. When I was on my DP search, um, I came across his work on Instagram. And I was like, oh, wow, these are beautiful. And it wasn't on his page, it was through another page that was showcasing great cinematography in film and television. And so I was like, oh, who is this cinematographer? And I looked up Nicholas Summer. And I was like, we can't afford him. And so I moved on. Um, but fast forward a few months later down the road, um, my producer, she just reached out to a couple DPs within his agency. And she was like, "Hey, David, would you be interested in, looking at Nicholas Summer as a potential option?" And I was like, "Yes, is it a possibility?" And we had a meeting. Um, and in that meeting, the biggest thing I took away from Nick was not just his incredible cinematography, his eye, was that he was a father.
Mhm.
And to me, whether people know it or not, someone's background influences what we see on screen.
Yeah.
Him being a father him raising a son, him being married, to me had all the elements I want from my DP rather than their just skills and their ability to light and compose images. I knew that was going to fester into the movie. And so like a lot of the scenes that you see, that shot where Lucky has like the one tear coming down his face, what people don't know is the initial shot was supposed to be an insert on the bracelet, on the bracelets on the necklace. But Nick had the awareness to understand that Lucky's going through something here. His hands, but he recognizes his face and
Mm.
he tilts up and he captures that emotion in that scene. I didn't tell Nick to do that. He
Wow.
did that because he understands. And so for me, the decision to work with Nick didn't come from a place of his ability as a cinematographer. It came from a place of who he is as a man.
Mm.
I knew that was going to influence how we made Color Book.
That's beautiful because the creative liberty right there to just make that decision, and it turned out to be great too because the original intention was that if it's like obviously if it didn't end up great you'd be like, hey, we got to do that again, but
Yeah.
the creative feeling, and that's so beautiful. I didn't know he is a father, and
Yeah.
the amount of connection that you brought there where yes, it often helps when you have some kind of feeling or connection to what you are trying to produce,
Yeah.
especially in this field of work, because it's all about feeling.
Yeah.
It's not even really about understanding. Sometimes it's just about feeling, and the
Yes.
understanding will come. And something that kind of just came to my mind, Hans Zimmer,
Yeah.
the score that he made with Christopher Nolan for Interstellar was the motivation being a father,
Mm.
and I think that that's just the beauty of cinema. I love
Yeah.
that, and
Agreed.
the score here reminded me of one movie that my wife also loves. She actually got me to go to the theater to see it. If Beale Street Could Talk. There's
Mm.
like this romantic but like Odyssey feeling to it.
Yeah.
And what kind of got you to what inspired you to create a score like this that is sometimes repetitive but also
Yeah.
new, and each
Mhm.
time it goes into another arc with
Mhm.
Lucky and his son.
Yeah. So, much credit to our composer, Dabney Morris. Me and Dabney, we started collaborating well before shooting and
Mm.
production. Dabney would send me just a lot of musical references, and I would send him back musical references. And what I learned with Dabney is like he's a historian when it comes to music. Like so any reference he would send me wouldn't be anything that we was hearing today. It would be jazz, folk, R&B going back into the 1960s, 70s, 50s. Like he has a very well-versed ear and mine. And so we was collaborating, I'll say 6 months before even we shot the movie, just trading ideas. And then when it came down to making it, a lot of our selection came down to the idea of this is a relationship film. How do we set the score to honor these two small souls in Atlanta, Georgia? And one thing that me and Dabney did for the most part is we looked at the film like In the Mood for Love. And I love how In the Mood for Love, it was just this returning score. It's like, and because it kept you in the space, in the environment of the film. And for myself, I wanted that to be done similarly with Color Book. Um, and then of course we went out and we expanded with different, music sections, but we wanted to keep through this emotional theme that kept you in the pocket. Just how
Mhm.
Black and White kept you in this relationship with Lucky and Mason, the music kept you into the world of these two people. And we just kind of made it from that perspective.
One of my favorite scenes on just how it was shot, and I would just love to know if the intention was this, because this is how I took it away. And I love art because art is subjective, but it's
Yeah.
the scene where Lucky is frustrated. They're about to get on the train. The sun does not move,
Mhm.
and right before he comes over to say, "I'm here," the camera's positioned facing him and the train. He's in front of
Mhm.
it, and the train goes the opposite direction that he's looking. I took that as everything in his day is represented with that shot. The amount of
Mm,
frustration, but how he has to hold it
mm,
down, even in the
yes.
face of everything just going against him with the car, him
Mm.
missing his son, eventually, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1 spoilers, not being able to make it to the game, but it still doesn't matter because there's still joy in the relationship. What that's at least what I took away from it
Yeah.
was, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but what kind of what did you get from that shot when you were crafting that?
No, I looked at it almost similar. Is that like because he's standing, he's looking to the right, the train is going back left,
Yep.
and it's this idea of everything's passing them by.
Mm.
Nothing's going right. Everything in their lives can't go in one single direction. Um, and for me, it was more so not even the intellectual prowess of that shot, but the emotional, essence of that one. Because you just have the sense of this train whipping by him, and there's a sense of frustration, there's a sense of anxiety, there's a sense of letdown. And so when we coordinated that shot, it was just the sense of like building out his internal emotions of like nothing can't go right. Everything is going by him. Nothing
Mm.
is sitting for him. Which, prompts something that happens later on in the movie, after, the whole game situation, right? Where it's like they get a small win here, and I think that shot is a reflection of his internal struggle of just like everything's going by him and nothing's not sitting with him.
What is your favorite movie? And if you can't pin that down because it is such a broad question, right? What is
Mhm.
something that has hit you this year that you've seen that kind of like left an impact?
Let me go to my most impactful movie, if I
Mm.
could do that. I'll say Bicycle Thieves is the
Mm.
film I feel like has impacted me the most.
I need to
Um,
add that to my letterbox.
yeah, like it's a film based in the 1940s, and that Italian neorealism film, and it's about a father and son, similar to Color Book, going on a journey to retrieve their bicycle that was stolen from them. And this bicycle gives them an opportunity to make a living to support their family that doesn't really have much resources. Um, and when I think about that film, despite it being in Italian, despite it being in black and white at the time when I first saw it 10 years ago, um, despite it being in a country that is so opposite from the city of Atlanta, I saw my upbringing and my experiences in those lives. And I've always looked at making films where it's like, no matter where you're from in the world, you could connect to these characters because they're doing things, they're going through things that you've gone through. And that film for me changed the trajectory of how I wanted to make films because now I wanted to give to people the emotion that that film gave to me. And I looked at myself as not as a filmmaker, but an emotion creator. Like I just want to generate emotion that makes you feel. And it goes back to watching that film for the first time. So I'll say the film that, I'll say my favorite film and the film that has been the most impactful to my career is Bicycle Thieves.
Distributors, come on, pick this joint up right now. Come on. I
Man,
I'm
please.
getting vibes that it's an A24. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know
Man,
why. A24 neon, come on, come on.
let's let's hey, let's claim it. Let's put it out there, man. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Hey, no problem. Hey, you be blessed, sir, okay?
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.